America's 250th anniversary is being marked nationwide with a blend of reflection, gratitude, and celebration, honoring our nation that began with a bold declaration and grew through the service, sacrifice, and creativity of generations. Communities large and small are hosting events that spotlight local heroes, Revolutionary era stories, and the evolving promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. From stories and musical tributes to family adventures, the semi-quincentennial invites Americans to rediscover the people and places that shaped the country's journey and to celebrate the enduring spirit that continues to define it. We begin tonight with Mr. Ed Pierce and the Kettle Moraine Blues, American Songbook, 250 Years, A Good Start.
Welcome, and on behalf of Jim Neist of the Kettle Moraine Blues, I wish to welcome you to an evening of music, history, and lighthearted fun. Our time together is filled with some of the sounds and stories that shaped our musical culture. Music is an expression of who we are and the times we've known, our highs, our lows, and so much that we love. Take away American music from the American story, and you take away a good part of the soul of the story. It is impossible to imagine life in America without it. Each tune has its own story to tell. So let's draw back the curtain on American music with a program we call Tales from the American Songbook, 250 Years, A Good Start. I'm Mr. Ed, and I'll be your guide through this evening of story and song. We start with music of the Founding Fathers. When our nation began, we had no music, so we borrowed from our English cousins. That's right, the very people with whom we had just fought a war. To begin with, with one of our oldest melodies, Yankee Doodle. Jim?
1, 2, 1.
Now, Yankee Doodle was composed as an act of warfare by the British against the American troops. Every word was dedicated to insulting George Washington and his men. So to find out why, let's have some fun. We begin with a little musical quiz we call Doodle for Your Noodle. Here's how it works. First, we will ask for the right answer. Beware, most are painfully obvious. You know, real groaners. We do invite groaning, please. But then we'll ask, why? Why is this the right answer? Herein will lie the real history. There will be 3 questions. No pencil and paper required. Just raise your hand. Please don't blurt anything out. Just raise your hand. Teacher will call on you. Now, just so you know, early reviews for our new 3-question quiz are already in, and they are stunning. They're wonderful reviews. Just listen to a few early reviews for Doodle for Your Noodle. George Washington writes, "I would cross the Delaware to play Doodle for Your Noodle." Patrick Henry wrote, "Give me liberty, or give me Doodle for Your Noodle." Henry Knox, Washington's chief of artillery, says, "I got a real bang out of playing Doodle for Your Noodle." Paul Revere said, I rode all night just to tell people, Doodle for your noodle is coming! Doodle for your noodle is coming! And last, Benedict Arnold says, this game sucks, I'm changing sides. So are you ready? Here is the new 3-question game that is sweeping the 13 colonies. Let's all play Doodle for your noodle. Question number 1. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a, what was it? Now remember hands, don't blurt anything out. Hands. Yes, young lady. Pony, right. Now, why a pony? Why is a pony an insult? He went riding on a pony, which was insulting his mode of transportation. The British mocked American Yankee Doodles as, oh, you're too poor to own a real horse, so you had to ride a pony to town. This would sort of be like trying to take a golf cart from New York to Los Angeles. Question number 2. What word comes to mind when you hear this phrase? He stuck a feather in his hat and called it what? Now I'm going to give you a hint. The missing word does not refer to the first Olive Garden in Boston. This young lady.
Macaroni.
Macaroni is right. Very good. Oh, pardon me, I have to catch up on something. Deb, you want to give these 2 winners a CD? Thank you, dear. Now, why is macaroni the right term? The term macaroni referred to the decorations of clothing of the very rich that tended to look like chains of uncooked macaroni. In a day when men wore silk suits and ladies wore those big dresses and those large decorated wigs, poor Yankee Doodle thought themselves looking very rich by simply sticking a bird's feather in their old farmer's hat, and it made them the same as an English aristocrat. And the third and final question, what 3 words are missing from this phrase? 3 words are missing. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle, dandy. Mind the blank. And the blank, and with the blank, be handy. I'll repeat that. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle, dandy. Mind the blank, and the blank, and with the blank, be handy. Answer? Yes.
Mind the music and the band, and with the girls be handy.
You got 2 out of 3.
Okay.
It's very good. Anybody else? Yes.
Mind the music and the steps, and with the girls.
You don't need 2 CDs. This young lady back here, she won. Thank you. Now, why is that why is that the answer? The real answer, or the real insult, I should say, is in 3 parts. This is what the British thought of us. Yankees don't know music. Yankees can't dance. And you Yankees are so lame, you can't even get a date on Saturday night. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. So we turned the tables on them. We were proud to be Yankee Doodles, and we made it our American marching song. Bonus question. Does anybody know where the term Yankee comes from? It's a tough one. Where does Yankee come from? You're very close. Here's the tale. Legend has it that when the English began to arrive in what would become New York, that was New Amsterdam back then, the Dutch settlers who greeted them, noticed that 2 things about the English sailors. Many, and I do mean many, were named John. The other item that caught their attention was that the English sailors ate a lot of cheese. Now, this was to stave off the ravages of scurvy, which is a very ugly disease when you don't have vitamin C in your diet and you're months at sea. Scurvy is a pretty ugly thing. But they kept that off by having cheese on the long sea voyages. So what have you got? John, cheese. Now say it like a Dutchman. Jan, keys, Yankees. And that's where that comes from. A final word about Yankee Doodle. On October 19th, 1781, General Lord Cornwallis surrendered his 8,000-man army to the combined forces of France and the United States. With the French army lined up on one side and the American army lined up on the other, the British were to parade in column down the middle and lay down their arms. Now, as they did so, they chose to look only at the French, refusing to look at the Americans. On hand that day was one of Washington's most trusted lieutenants, the young nobleman from France, the Marquis de Lafayette. He was infuriated at this blatant insult. Spurring his horse to the nearest fife corps, he thundered for one and all, "Plays a Yankee Doodle!" Sensing the moment, they didn't just play the tune, they thundered it. Suddenly, thousands of redcoats turned to the American line to see what was happening. Now they properly faced their conquerors as they threw down their arms and surrendered their colors. And now you know where the phrase, "face the music," comes from. Jim?
1, 2, 1.
Next, a tune that you only think you don't know. Let me explain. This next song celebrated our nation's first victory in its first foreign war. In 1805, the United States won a fight against the brutal pirate kingdom operating out of Tripoli in Libya. Thanks to the new U.S. Navy and a handful of U.S. Marines, their tyrannical practice of taking our peaceful trading ships on the high seas and enslaving their crews was forever ended. A poem was commissioned to celebrate our great victory and was set to yet another English melody that we had borrowed from our cousins. The Anacreonic Song. This was a melody composed by John Stafford Smith of London for his Anacreonic Society, a group of aristocratic musicians. When performed at the White House, it was entitled "To Neptune Enthroned." In 1805, it was performed for President Thomas Jefferson and was accompanied by the United States Marine Band, all 8 of them. Jim? As he covered the sea, from my high favored land, I dispatched a petition that he is protector and patron would Jefferson was a real musician, very proficient at playing the violin. Now, while he appreciated the meaning of this text, he was less than enthusiastic about the tune. To quote Mr. Jefferson, quote, "The melody is poorly constructed and lacks musical value. I think this will be the last of it. We can presume it will never be heard from again." Close quote. Now, while we revere and admire the words and achievements of Mr. Jefferson, I think you will agree that perhaps he could have been mistaken a bit about this tune. Our next several tunes have significant Wisconsin ties. We call it of Badger Hymns and Battle Hymns. The Battle Hymn of the Republic is usually attributed to Julia Ward Howe, but as is typical, there is much more to the story. Rising from the swamps of South Carolina came a folk tune that captured the hearts of all who listened. It first appeared in the 1850s as Canaan's Happy Shore, a spirited revival tune. "Oh, brothers, will you meet me on Canaan's happy shore?" And the chorus, "We'll shout and give him glory, we'll shout and give him glory, we'll shout and give him glory, for glory is his own." By 1859, it was simply "Glory, Hallelujah." Here is how Francis Maria Scala, the leader of the United States Marine Band, arranged it that year for White House concerts, perfectly capturing the essence of this camp-meeting revival tune. Jim?
One.
Southern rebellion has broken out, and all over the North, men are swarming to enlist. In the ranks of the 2nd Massachusetts, there is a jovial Scotsman by the name of John Brown. It was indeed a coincidence that he had the same name as the martyr of Harper's Ferry. His fellow soldiers mocked and teased him for always being late for morning drill. It usually went something like this. "Come, old fellow, you ought to be at it if you're going to help us free the slaves." Or, "This can't be John Brown. Why, John Brown is dead." And then someone would add in a very solemn tone, "Yes, yes, poor John Brown is dead, and his body lies a mouldering in the grave." The men began to set the taunts to music, including the tune, "Glory, Hallelujah." "John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave, his soul is marching on." And another lyric, "He's gone to be a soldier in the army of the Lord, his soul is marching on." The tune has now been picked up as another marching tune for the troops. The men continued to sing this, but they added coarse and irreverent words. Most that would not be repeatable in mixed company. Here, adapted from the 25th Massachusetts Regiment Band, is that tune. It's particularly interesting to note that it held no particular importance and was simply squeezed into the band book as number 37 and a half, quick step and battle hymn. Jim?
1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Enter a Badger State influence. On November 18, 1861, famed abolitionist Julia Ward Howe accompanied by Reverend James Freeman Clark, attended a military review just outside of Washington. This included the men from the Badger State. From their carriage, these two witnessed the mighty 6th Wisconsin Infantry returning to camp. In the ranks was John Ticknor, a soldier known for his great vocal talents. His strong singing voice floated over the ranks, trumpeting forth John Brown's body. The whole regiment joined their beloved comrade in song. Once again, what they sang was hardly ennobling. The men used a great deal of coarse and foul language. In her diary, Julia Ward Howe wrote the following, quote, "I was disgusted hearing this. I turned to the Reverend and said, there really ought to be better words on the men's lips for their battle hymn. To which he replied, well, why don't you do something about it?" Close quote. The next morning she awoke and was seized with an inspired vision of a mighty text. She did not hold back her abolitionist zeal. "I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. I have read a fiery gospel writ in burnished rows of steel. As ye deal with my contenders, so with you my grace shall deal. Let the hero born of woman crush the serpent with its heel, since God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah." The adoption of the Emancipation Proclamation also gave new life to the old John Brown words. At last, the little tune that began in faraway South Carolina had come full circle to become an anthem of a free people. It would be forever identified with John Brown, the abolitionist, and Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator. Alas, few today remember the jovial Scotsman of the same name. Jim? From Elkhorn. In the middle of the 19th century, a gifted composer from Elkhorn, Wisconsin, found great success in the newly emerging field of American melody. Joseph Webster would compose over 1,000 musical works. Now, prior to the Civil War, he enjoyed enormous success with his love ballad, Lorena, popular with both sides during the conflict. Now it is 1868. Mr. Webster was stumped. He was working on a new melody. He just did not quite know what to do with it. Is it a march? A dance tune? Is it a love song? He took it to his associate, Fillmore Bennett, for advice. Bennett would later recount in a newspaper interview, quote, "Webster, what is the matter?" "It's no matter. It will be all right by and by." The solution came to Bennett like a flash of sunlight. "You just said it yourself. The sweet by and by. Why would it not make a good hymn?" "Well, maybe it would," Webster said indifferently. Bennett continued, "Turning to my desk, I penned the words of the hymn as fast as I could write. I handed the words to Webster. As he read, his eyes kindled, and stepping to his desk, he began writing more notes. Taking his violin, he played the melody and jotted down the notes of the chorus. It was not more than 30 minutes from the time I took my pen to write the words before we were both singing the hymn. The work was submitted to Lion and Healy Music Publishing, and the rest is history. In the Sweet By and By became one of the finest Christian hymns of the day. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. In the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore. I invite you all to sing along with the words that are in your program. There will be a brief band introduction, and I will lead you in. Jim, sweet by and by. Let's all raise our voices. That's a rouser. Next up, the quartet you won't find at a barbershop. George M. Cohan, Scott Joplin, George Gershwin, and Cole Porter. We begin with George M. Cohan. Let me set the scene. It was a rainy May day. George was quite winded. He had run all the way down to the station platform to hop the already departing train. Wet and tired, he dropped into the first available seat. Now, across from him was an elderly man clutching a tattered cardboard box. He wore the remnants of what at one time had been a Union Army uniform. While George was tired, he was still curious. What have you got there, my friend? The old man said nothing. Instead, he lifted the cover of the box, revealing the tattered remnants of what at one time had been a splendid Union Army battle flag. So many of my old friends are asleep in the sod of Pennsylvania and Virginia, but we protected this with our lives. He then sat silently for a long time, just staring at the flag. Finally, he spoke. She's a grand old rag. We fought for her, and we died for her. The old man remained silent for the rest of the trip. When George got home, he could not shake off the image of this old man and the tender way he cared for his grand old rag. George was one of our nation's great musicians. In his career, he would write such hits as Yankee Doodle Dandy, Mary is a Grand Old Name, Harrigan, Give My Regards to Broadway, and of course, Over There. He crafted one of our greatest melodies for all time. However, George M. Cohan made one change from his fateful encounter with this aging veteran. Fearing people would not understand the context of the word rag on his song's second printing, he had the publisher change the word from rag to flag, thus giving us You're a Grand Old Flag. Join the band in singing that grand old tune, You're a Grand Old Flag. Take it, Jim.
1, 2, 1.
barbershop is Scott Joplin. We offer two examples from this landmark composer. First, we will hear an excellent example of his work for ragtime music, Easy Winners, as presented by Jim and the band. Second, we present his trademark-defining keyboard work with his romantic Solace, as interpreted by our own Lori Heidenreich. Jim? Next up is George Gershwin, often thought of as the man who brought jazz to the symphony. George Gershwin was a true music genius. Here, listen to this playlist. Rhapsody in Blue, Concerto in F, An American in Paris, Cuban Overture, Variations on I Got Rhythm, and his magnum opus, Porgy and Bess. Listen to his Strike Up the Band, Jim. Composer for this quartet that you won't find in a barbershop is Cole Porter. Now, when thinking of this composer, one is drawn to his sophisticated music of the 20s and the 30s. It conjures up an image of glamorous nightclubs, gentlemen in tuxedos and dinner jackets, ladies in flowing evening gowns, or perhaps flapper dresses adorned with headbands of all types. But Cole Porter was much more than this. After serving in World War I, he cranked out a string of incredible hits. Anything Goes, Night and Day, Begin the Begin, In the Still of the Night, It's Still Lovely, You're the Top, Let's Misbehave, Let's Fall in Love, and his incomparable musical, Kiss Me, Kate. Interest in Porter's music came roaring back to life in 2004 with the award-winning motion picture of his life starring Kevin Kline and Ashley Judd, entitled Deal Lovely. Here is his rousing and soul-stirring composition, Blow, Gabriel, Blow.
1, 2, 1.
Oh, blow, Gabriel. We conclude with a most unlikely composer. Motion picture and television star Red Skelton. This award-winning talent was also recognized as a great humanitarian, a musician, and a patriot. His composition, Red's White and Blue March, was inspired from a real-life experience that would forever transform his life. Here, in the very words that Red put down, is the event that changed his life and inspired his music. Red has written this, quote, "When I was a small boy in Vincennes, Indiana, I heard, I think, one of the most outstanding speeches I ever heard in my life. I think it compared to the Sermon on the Mount, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and Socrates' speech to the students. We had just finished reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and he, Mr. Laswell, the principal of Vincennes High, called us together, and he said, boys and girls, I have been listening to you recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems that it has become monotonous to you. Or could it be you do not understand the meaning of each word? If I may, I would like to recite the pledge and give you a definition for each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one. Pledge, dedicate all my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. And wherever she waves, there is respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. Of the united, which means we all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided by imaginary boundaries, yet united in a common cause, and that's love of country, of America.
And to the Republic, a sovereign state in which power is invested into the representatives chosen by the people to govern. And the government is the media, and it's from the people to the leaders, and not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands, one nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being blind, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power for one to live his own life without fear, stress, or anxiety, and justice, principle, and qualities of feeling fairly with others. For all, that means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. Now, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic in which it stands, one nation indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words adding to the Pledge of Allegiance. You bear, Bill, Red Blues. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said, that was a bird that would be eliminated from our school. If the blue, grab somebody to blue for me.
strength and affirmation, and especially in difficult, dangerous times. And the words and music we love that have stood the test of time mean still much more when we know their story. I can hear you now. But Ed, you didn't mention Stephen Foster, George F. Root, Alice Hawthorne, Henry Clay Ward, Jerome Kern, Samuel Coleridge Taylor, Gus Kahn, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Lerner and Lowe. Not even Elvis! True. But then again, that's your job. That's your job. Your job is to seek out American music that inspires and enriches your American life. And as to the future of American life, I think the motto of the great state of Wisconsin says it all. Forward! Jim, take us out with Grand Old Flag one more time.
1, 2, 1.
Sitting in the back, that is our inspiration. Elaine, God bless you. Big hand for her.
Some of those wonderful cookies and bars over there. And if you like the music, there's a tip jar.
We had a slight altercation while we were setting up. One of our horn players collided with a drummer. And you'll see down here the horn bell fell into the drum, and we don't know where the bodies are. I think they're underneath the drum. I can hear muffled underneath. Anything you care to put in there keeps the music going. I don't want to overplay that, but it's true nonetheless. So if you could, your kindness, put it in whatever way is very much appreciated. On behalf of Jim and everyone in the band, thank you one and all. God bless you.